Alrighty, everybody, we're going to get started. This is the second webinar about the Adult Literacy XPRIZE Communities Competition. So thank you guys for joining us and for being interested and invested in what we're doing here at XPRIZE. If you were on before, we're going to do a repeat of what we did the first time. We do have a nice number of new webinar participants or attendees, so we want to make sure that you're getting the basics and everything's covered. Just starting off with a little bit of information about the competition. Today's agenda, we'll just really talk about the grand challenge, what is an XPRIZE for those who may be new to XPRIZE, the basis of the competition, and what you have to do to compete. Just starting off, we know that with adult literacy, about 36 million people in the US lack basic literacy skills, and that really affects your well-being, your ability to take care of your family, make a living, and just go forth and be fruitful. Looking here, the wealth gap is widening, holding, families by wealth. The top 10%, are doing very well, but the bottom tends to be where we have those the increase in literacy skills. So right now, about 76% of all U.S. wealth is in, unfortunately, the top 10%. And so looking at that, education as it leads to wealth and ability to be able to make a living for yourself and your family, those with graduate degrees, once again, are making the most money, and those with less than a high school diploma are making the least, and that's about 65% of families. And the skills gap is very real. Moving into an area where you're looking at those, there are 5.5 million jobs, but those who may be lacking the skills or some of those basic education or the basic literacy levels aren't able to get those opportunities. And so automation, once again, is widening the gap. Technology is great, but we want to make sure that those who have the ability can take advantage of those new technology-driven positions. So unless you make an hourly wage, more likely your job will be replaced by automation. And so looking here, if you make less than $20 an hour, there's an 80% chance that the position you currently hold may be taken over by automation, as opposed to those who make $40 or more an hour. About 4% of them have the chance of that job being taken over or replaced by automation. And continuing a 40-year trend, productivity growth, hourly compensation as such, really stands to grow in productivity, but hourly compensation is not. So you're expected to do more work with the base salary of something that was the norm or the median back in 1972. As we know, the cost of living has increased, but wages have not. And for those who are lacking those basic adult literacy skills, target them to increase their skill, increase their pay when they're struggling with literacy. And so it's not a new challenge. While technology forces and structural unemployment brought about by automation are colorblind, the objective of economic position of the poor in society causes them as a group to be the hardest hit. And that's something that was said by Martin Luther King back in the 1960s, the struggle for civil rights. And it's still something that resonates with people right now today. So we see that some of the basics of being able to go forth, be fruitful, provide for you and your family are not being met based on where we are with education, productivity, and also employment opportunities. As I said before, 36 million adults in the US lack basic English literacy skills, and that impacts their lives and that of their children. And so right now, if we think about it, we have 36 million people who have the need, but only 2.1 million are able to be enrolled in place-based classes to be able to increase their skills and increase their job opportunities. With the adults in the US having low literacy skills, we need another 34 million opportunities for learners to be able to learn, increase their skills, and better their lives. So humanity's biggest challenges are also the world's greatest opportunities. So I always want to think for problem and solution based. So XPRIZE, the global leader in designing and implementing innovation, competitions, and models to solve humanity's grand challenges. And right now we have a nice number of prizes. In the past, we awarded over $20 million in prizes. Our first was the Ansari XPRIZE. And right now, as we go through time, we currently have the ANA Avatar Active Prize, the Energy Cosia Carbon Prize, the Learning Prize, and the Adult Literacy XPRIZE. So our competitions inspire innovations from private space flight, as you saw with Ansari, to 100 miles per hour cars with the progressive XPRIZE, to learning for hundreds of millions of unschooled children in Africa through the Learning Prize. And our mission is to empower adults, millions of adult learners, to acquire the skills they need to advance their education, find better work, or simply read a bedtime story to their children. $1 million to transform 1 million lives is where we are right now, and that is our goal. The Communities Competition challenges communities and organizations across the country to empower low literacy adults to download and use free, effective, convenient, and private mobile learning tools. So wondering, how do you win? What does it take for me to win $1 million? Well, the Adult Literacy XPRIZE Communities Competition has 2 phases. In phase 1, you'll tell us how you'll revolutionize adult education in your community through a proposal, and that's an application. And we will award $10,000 each for the 50 best proposals. Now, if you think about phase 1 in the competition, you're like, what does that mean? What do I have to do? So let me find that information and let you know what you have to do. Let's see here. So thinking about the proposal, what you have to do is really think about how you can deploy, how you can get these apps into the hands of as many adult learners in your area as possible. And so that's where you want to be innovative in your approach and how you are able to get that out. And so when you think about it, you want to be innovative. You want to make sure that it's something that's different. You want to make sure that it's something that's feasible. You want to make sure it's something that can be replicated, that's easy to maintain. And so that's really important when you think about your proposal and how best you want to be able to encourage and distribute the app and get as many adult learners in your area as possible to download and use, because we really want them to be able to improve their skills, better their employment opportunities, and build a better future for their children. And so phase 2, the 3 top competitors who recruit most people to download and use these free, proven, effective apps will share the remainder of the $500,000. And so how that will work, starting with proposal or in phase 1, the competition launched June 23rd of this year and closes December 21st. You submit proposal, you have an online form, and in that proposal, you'll detail how you'll increase access to adult education for learners who are using the apps that you'll distribute in phase 2. Proposals will be judged on their potential for impact, innovation, feasibility, scalability, and durability. The proposal form will include basic competitor information, explanation of the competitor's recruitment plans and marketing strategies, a timeline for participant recruitment, and any explanation of your plan for protecting participant learners' information and safeguarding it if applicable. Competitors will also provide XPRIZE with samples of recruitment materials, such as flyers and things of that nature. And that you'll have a style guide that will be given to you in the future, where you can use that to base some of the things that you make in regards to your recruitment materials. You'll also have to detail how you intend to utilize prize winnings to benefit learners and really be able to sustain growth. And you'll also have to indicate in which tier you want to compete. Now, there are tiers. Phase 1, like I said, will detail how you'll increase access, and proposals will be judged for their potential for impact, innovation, feasibility, scalability, and durability. And so in the competition process, you'll register, create a team profile, and apply. And that's where the application is for the proposal phase in phase 1. There is a peer review, and in that peer review, we'll be looking at, in the peer review, there will be people who, it will be blinded, so you won't be able to see who will be the competing teams. But to ensure fairness, we're going to normalize all reviews by measuring each individual's mean and standard division deviation of scores, as well as measuring the mean and standard deviation of all scores across all reviewers. We'll then rescale the mean and standard deviation of each individual reviewer to match that of the entire population. And so what we'll do is, for example, one reviewer may score all applications with scores between 0 to 3. Another will score all applications between 1 and 5. Both of these reviewers may look favorably upon a single submission, but give different scores. That way we allow some variation. And the scores for the peer review will be able to be selected up to 100 applications that will advance to an expert judging. And those will be expert judges selected who will be able to say who the 50 milestone winners will be, who will receive that $500,000 split up into $10,000 prizes. So to clarify, because I don't think I've said that so clear, there will be 50 teams that will win $10,000. That's how I got the $500,000. So sorry about that. And as we move to the expert review, the milestone awards, then we'll prep for deployment. So this is where it comes to the distribution of apps, and this is where phase 2 of the competition begins. And so in phase 2, it's all about distributing the apps, and that begins in April 2019. and you'll be able to use a referral code to distribute apps to learners. And one thing about the apps is that they are free to end users for those who are recruited during deployment of phase 2, which starts in April 2019. And then at the end, there will be top 10 performing teams based on download and usage, and there'll be metrics as well. And one thing that I need to go back and clarify were the tiers. Let me get that information for you. I know I mentioned it, but did not go into detail. So when it comes to the tiers, this is something that you'll select in phase 2, which is the deployment phase, which starts in January 2019. So there will be winners in tiers 1, 2, and 3. And upon registration for tier 1, and the deadline will be, you'll be able to select which tier you want to compete in. In tier 1, the minimum threshold of downloads is 5,000, the prize purse of $350,000. In tier 2, the minimum threshold of downloads is 1,500 with the prize purse of $100,000. In tier 3, there is no minimum threshold of downloads with a prize purse of $50,000. The winners in tiers 1 and 2 will be the entity that has attained the minimum threshold of participant downloads for the tier, which has the largest number of participants that use the app on at least 3 separate days. The winner in tier 3 will be the entity with the largest number of participants who use the app on at least 3 separate days without need to meet a minimum threshold. Teams also must demonstrate how they must continue to support increasing access to adult education beyond the competition. A judging panel will determine competitors' compliance with the goals, and further details will be in the competitor structure, which you can find on communities.xprize.org. And so one thing we didn't think about is like, who can compete? You said individual organizations, or who can actually compete in this? Well, any educational institution, nonprofit, NGO, government agency, company, corporation, individual, or person, or any other legal entity duly constituted in the United States only, regardless of size, locality, or whether or not the competitor has previously worked or served adult learners, can compete. So just to be clear, you must be a US-based entity. So if you're international, if you have some kind of subsidiary, or you can compete under that if it's based here in the US. So thinking about timeline, right now we're kind of in the very beginning. We launched June 22nd. The team registrations are due by December the 8th. So if you go to communities.xprize.org, you can sign up, create a user profile, and create a team so that you can compete. And it is free to compete. There is no cost to sign up to become a competitor in the Adult Literacy XPRIZE community competition. And when it comes to those that you recruit in phase 2, starting in 2019, you're able to get recruitment of people who are here, residents in the United States, who have access to a smartphone or tablet running on Android. Right now, the apps in this competition are not iPhone based. The competitors are not required to verify the level of literacy for any of the participants that you give the apps to, and XPRIZE will not test participants to determine their literacy level. Participants can be concurrently enrolled in adult basic and secondary education, CTE, or English as a second language courses, but they are not required to do so. And moving forward, so we talked about the proposal phase in phase 1, where you talk about how you be able to scale the applications out for feasibility, innovation, impact, and durability. That proposal is due December 21st. And that application and proposal is on our website at communities.xprize.org. And the milestone awards for those 50 teams who have the most innovative and awesome proposals will win and be announced in March 2019. And at that point, in April, we'll start the deployment phase. And that's where you'll be able to choose the app or tier that you'll compete in and be able to distribute those apps to adult learners in your area. And so when it comes down to tallying the downloads, or how do you know if you're winning, you'll be provided a unique code, and it must be used by learners who are downloading the qualified app. This code can either be embedded online in recruitment material or translated to other formats for use in print or other materials. When learners download the apps, this unique code will be used to identify the competitors, and it will be credited with the, and you'll be credited rather with the recruitment of the participant. Once this phase 2 deployment closes in April 31st, 2019, we'll have our winners of the second round, which will be in the 3 tiers, in September 2019. So, wondering, how do you get started? Because I want to make sure I left enough time to be able to answer some questions. Visit communities.xprize.org, register, create a team, and start your application. And these are some useful links. Once again, if you want to go directly to the page about the guidelines, the scoring rubric, or FAQs, these are the links that you can use to be able to go directly to the website, read more about the guidelines and things that I've talked about here. And also, we'll be having these webinars monthly, so that I'll get information about when the next webinar will be. So we're about 20 minutes in. And so I would like to be able to open up any questions or chats or anything like that that you guys may have, or if I can clarify something for you, or if there's anything that I can answer that you may not have gotten answers now, or if there's anything at all. So how's your day? How's it going? And if you have a question, shoot it to me, and we'll make sure that we can answer or find an answer for you. So I'll give you time to get your things ready and type away. We'll be here monitoring the chat window as well as the Q&A window to be able to answer any questions you may have. Alrighty. Hi, Becky. Thanks for the question. So the question from Becky says, do teams promote all the 5 finalists, or do you select among them? You'll be able to select among them, and it'll be the winners of the team's app development competition, which is the overall adult literacy competition. So we'll know who those winners are sometime in early 2019 before you have to choose your tier and before you've given your unique code. You'll be able to decide which of those winners of the adult literacy XPRIZE who are developing the apps, or which of those apps you'd like to distribute. The 5 finalists have been announced, and you can find that information on adultliteracy.xprize.org under the Teams tab. And to date, those 5 finalists are CellEd, I'm Ready to Create, People for Words, Learning Upgrade, and what is my last one? Autocognitive. No, you don't have to choose your tier in December when you submit the proposal. You'll have to choose your tier in 2019, about March 2019. And more information will be coming on that. So when it comes to selecting your tier, that will not be until 2019 during phase 2, the deployment phase. Give me a second, I'll go over to the Q&A window. Yes, that's correct, Laura. When filling out the application, you should select the Adult Literacy XPRIZE Communities Competition. Technically, the Adult Literacy XPRIZE cannot take any more competitors. It closed back in 2015. So even if you tried, you wouldn't be able to register for it because registration closed about 2.5 years ago. Yes, all the apps are going to be free to users. Let me find that information for you. During deployment, the apps will be free for all of those who you distribute your unique URL to download the app that you decide to download and distribute. And let me see. Yeah, they'll be free for 1 year following the close of the deployment phase. So when we looked at that timeline, let me go back to the screen and I'll go back to the timeline. Give me just a second to close this window. So the end of the deployment phase is August 2019. The apps will also be free for a year after that. So those who download the apps through your unique URL will have these apps for free through the end of August 2020. The number of users is not a primary factor in selecting phase one winners. Phase one winners will have a judging based on the proposal and how innovative they are when it comes to how they plan or would like to distribute the app in phase two. So the criteria to think about in phase one when you're doing your proposal and application is whatever your proposal is, think about its impact. How can it impact the most people, make the most difference in as many people's lives as possible? How innovative is it? How are you thinking outside the box about how you can get these apps out for free to adult learners in your area? How feasible is it? So how easy and how tangible is it for you to be able to do this? How scalable? So can you expand it to a neighbor agency, another county, another city? Could your idea be replicable? And also, is it durable? Is it something that you can maintain? Can it last? So those are the factors when selecting the phase one winner. Is when you think about the proposal, these are the things to keep in mind as you think about how you can be successful. Can you clarify when you said duration? Priyanka, you asked, and for what duration? Duration of the competition. Can you clarify a little bit of what you mean by duration of? Oh, I answered the question. Okay, thank you, thank you. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Back over here in the Q&A window. What devices will they be able to use to download the apps? Adult learners need to have an Android phone or tablet. The apps are Android based only. Do you have any more questions? Any questions? Something. Or as usual, you get off the webinar and go get coffee and something will come to you at the coffee machine. But hey, we're here. Yes, the webinar archive will be shared. For those who registered for this webinar, you'll receive an email. What we're going to start doing is putting them up on YouTube. So if you receive our newsletters, ALXP Pulse, there will be a link in that as well as a direct link to you guys on our YouTube channel where all of the webinars for the communities competition, as well as the Literation Lounge speaker series will be. And you can go to our YouTube channel, the Literacy XPRIZE, and be able to see, use, share out those links webinars. Tanya, that is a good question. Is there a way for a public library to allow multiple people to use the same device, but be counted as separate downloads? If you're competing, you have one unique URL only as the public library entity that is competing. So could be multiple people using the same device, but you can only download to that one device one time, that unique URL. Can multiple referral codes be provided to one applicant if you're doing a coalition approach and track which programs are using it? As a coalition, you will all only have one unique URL. Otherwise, you will have to be individual competitors. For example, the Los Angeles Public Library and the Burbank Public Library, if they wanted to work together as a Los Angeles Greater Library group, would only have one URL referral code. Now, if you guys want to be individual competitors not working together at all, you would then register separately and do your own thing. Hi, Kelly. Shout out to LAPL. So I'm hoping that that answered your question, Greg. And Trey wants to partner with anybody from the public library. So just, we do encourage coalition building, but please understand that if you get together and form a coalition or a partnership, you guys are one entity with one unique referral code. It cannot be split. And the terms of your coalition or partnership are totally up to you. You guys have questions? That's what Vinodi had a question about. Can providers have to onboard today? Do providers have to onboard learners in person, or can this be done remotely via internet or phone? And it can be done remotely. You can recruit virtually. You don't have to necessarily always recruit face-to-face. So you can, this is something that can be put in your proposal about how innovative you're going to be, about reaching as many people as possible, and all the tools and technology that is at our hands these days to make sure that as many adult learners get these apps. So it can be a mix. There is no rule that you have to only onboard or only give the unique URL to download in person. It can be, distributed electronically, however you see fit. And that is something that you'll detail in your proposal in phase 1, about how you're going to scale it, how you're going to be innovative, and how it's going to be feasible and durable and long lasting. No open questions. I don't see any additional questions in the chat room. So what I will do in the meantime is at least advance the slides here so that we can get to the slides. I came back to the competition timeline just for your reference. So let me just advance some things for you. All right, we have a chat. Will the app makers be sharing any marketing materials to help us promote? At this time, the marketing materials are totally up to you. The app makers are not providing any materials to help you promote. Alrighty. How much do the apps cost ordinarily? That is a question that you would need to specifically ask each individual app maker, as they're all 5 different companies at this point. If you're interested in that, you can go to adultliteracy.xprize.org. Each team page has the website and contact information of the current finalists. You can judge them directly and ask specifics about the cost outside of the competition. And once again, there's something to drive home is that the technologies in these apps are owned by the individual companies who are building them. XPRIZE does not have any rights to their technology or the apps. So with anything about cost or anything about distribution beyond the competition, you have to communicate directly with the app makers. And that information can be found on our website, adultliteracy.xprize.org, under the Teams tab. Each of the 5 current finalists have a website there, information about them, and how to contact them. And don't fret, don't worry if there's something that you didn't think of while we're on the webinar today. You can always go to our website, communities.xprize.org, for more information. You'll find the detailed guidelines there. You'll find specifics on the scoring rubric for phase 1 proposal. You'll find specifics on how we intend for the peer review to be fair. You'll find specifics on how round 2, which is the deployment phase, how that's going to go, the tiers, the scoring rubric, and things of that nature. You'll also find a little information about what will be asked on the proposal / application. There's lots of FAQs there as well. So if there's something you didn't think of and you're wondering like, where can I view the scoring rubric? Well, you can go to communities.xprize.org and look at the details of the scoring rubric. You can go there to find out about how we're going to make sure that peer review is fair. You'll learn more about, how often does a learner have to use the app in deployment in phase 2, and why am I required to select this here? Some of those questions you may have, we already have in our FAQ area on the website, as well as the competition guidelines and timeline as well. So the timeline that I shared, we also have it on the website. All right, we have a question for those in the greater LA area. Wait, this is not a question, it's more like a statement, but I'm going to read it. For those in the greater LA area, feel free to reach out to us at the Los Angeles Public Library to see if our interests align. We will be considering our role in this competition over the next few months. So reach out to literacy@lapl.org, and that's from Kelly Tyler. So for those of you in the LA area and with interested in coalition building, this give you an opportunity to get some conversations going around, what would it take and who would be interested in building a coalition. And as we were talking about coalitions, sometimes, you can work better as a team, especially if it's a bunch of smaller entities, but we really encourage you to collaborate. And a competing team can be formed of multiple organizations. You collaborate, and do whatever you need to do, but please know, collaborating organizations will be required to use the same distribution code during deployment phase. XPRIZE will only pay prize winnings to the organization that's registered as a team. So how you divvy that up, how it's split up, is up to you guys to work out in the terms of your coalition or your partnership. So that's one thing you asked about, multiple codes. If you're a coalition and you're all working together, come up with a name, and there's one name, one organization that we'll cut the check to, and one unique referral code that you will all use under the umbrella of that coalition that you build. Righty. Last call for any more questions. But in the meantime, I do want to let you guys know that these webinars about the communities competition will be monthly. Our next one is Thursday, August 23rd, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We try to stick with a Thursday at the exact same time. So same that time, same that channel. And so we're hoping that you guys will be able to join us again. If there's any here or to share the opportunity with your colleagues, other organizations in your area who may be interested in joining us today. And once again, once this is done, I'll make sure that the video is actually sent out to you guys, everyone who registered, with the link and information about the next webinar as well. Be able to register for that. Alrighty, seeing no more questions in the Q&A, and I don't see anything else in the chat window. I just want to thank you guys for joining us this morning. I hope that you found this very valuable and very beneficial. It jogged some memories, it got you excited and ready to go, and that some of you are on communities.xprize.org right now, signing up to register for a team. Remember, it's free, it doesn't hurt, sign up. Really, really great things together. And our goal is to transform 1 million lives and give away $1 million. And so my name is Monica. If you have any questions, you can always go to the website, but our email address is adult.literacy@xprize.org. Again, that's adult.literacy@xprize.org. You can always email us there if a question comes to mind. If you can't find something on the website, we're more than willing to be here to help guide you through things. And we're excited to have you. And I want to see, 30 new registrations by the time I'm off this call. I'm just kidding. But thank you guys so much for joining us. Remember, we'll be doing this again August 23rd, 9 a.m. I'll be sending out the link to the next webinar, as well as this recorded webinar to share or have for your reference to refer back to. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great one.